Hello, welcome back. So, quick review of our last class about logic and ping pong game. Let me open it. Okay, the question, but can the result directly show the specific score? Uh, it depends where it's pointing to. When we play the game here, we show the current score, right? How to grasp the identifier? It depends identifier of what? For example, we can get identifier of the object here, right? For this we use the I can write, for example, for this we can use op state 2, for example, here, right? Digits. So it gets the digit identifier of this object. Me digits, the same one is 1. But what's the another question of identifier you ask here? I a little bit not really get. Yeah, here is function, I think. Yeah, in other language, for example, in the processing, return you use if you need to return something, but in Python you always return. Even if you return nothing, it just means the function finished, and it's return program to place where the function was called. So in the Python, for function you always have return. Yeah, it's like function. Elif, yeah, it's for processing. It's the same like, or for Python, like in processing we use else if. In Python it's elif. They make it shorter. How to change this color? To change this color, you can press C button, C, K, but you need to be sure that it's in English, your keyboard. Touch designer hotkeys does not work if it will be like in Chinese or other language. So C will show up this window, and now I can change color of this node. Okay, this is just usually, it's quite useful tool for me because I usually mark input with one color, outputs with another color, some like logic or GLSL with another color, so I can, after when I open the network, I can easily see what's happened where I do like processing data, where I do generative part. Why does the same code does not work in P2? Name channel read, print name, restart. I think here it looks like, yeah, its resolution very small, but looks fine. I think the problem here is when you create chop execute, In first one, we use on value change, it by default on. So anything I do in value change, print value changed. Alt, yeah, and for example now, okay, if I change value, it works. But you put in off to on. So to make it work, you see now if off, on, so it does not work. To make it work, I need to turn this one to on. So now you see it show up here. Let's disable value change, so we will see. You see each time it's turned from 0 to positive, it's work. So I think there's a problem, you forget to enable this function. Yeah, this is syntax in Python also. It's a little bit short, so you can write current equals current plus 1, or you can write current plus 1. In processing, you remember we have something like this also, but like this in Python does not work. Python have just this version. It's a little bit, not a little bit, it's different. So first of all, if I talk about mousing work everywhere when I'm inside of this program. But if I create like container, for example, let's create container, go inside, put mouse in, and put panel inside. So you see, mouse in always work. But panel will work just when my mouse inside of the windows of panel. So now if I will open this window, you see it's work, yeah. I also have role U, role V, inside U, inside V. But as I go out of the panel, this is window is panel, like window, yeah. So panel will just react if I inside the window. So if I go out, panel does not work. The first one, the second also, panel, you see the value is here different because panel give me position of mouse inside of this window from 0 to 1. Mouse in give me position of my mouse from 0 to 1. So for all screen or for just this part. Here is the difference. So mouse in, it's more specific, panel it's more for user interface, works better. I didn't know those player pinpoint board and the yeah. Here right, it's a lot of way to improve this game. It's very simple. We do not have much time. We do not gonna spend much time on it, yeah. And to develop the serious game or serious project, it will take like much more time for you, rather than 2 hours. But yeah, basic my idea was to show you how to make simple logic. It can be for game or it can be for interactive installation. The same way you can trigger the stages for the any installation. If no one in front of camera, if someone in front of camera, what he doing, so you trigger different objects. Another part here, this is about, so you see, if I have empty space here, I will create few, I will create 2 channels. Why? Because this is syntaxes. So one of the way I just can create the channel like this, yeah, but sometimes I need to generate channels. I can write, for example, channel, and I can, if I get like square bracket from 0 to 10, so it will create 11 channels from 0 to 10. So this is, or I can write chain x, y, z. It will change chain x, chain y, chain z. So you see, it's different way to generate channels. So, or I can write like this. So it would also create the free channel, but here we want to, this won't be one channel, just like text we want to show, right? So I don't want it to split for different channels. So if I want it to be to one channel, I should not have space inside. Okay, this part in the game you a little bit not good, yeah. So what multiply do? You remember in processing also we have blend mode multiply. So red create me, and we talk about this last year. So we can use add, yeah. So add will add pixel value of this one to pixel value of this one. So I have these two of them. On top, I can use average, but when I get multiply, now it's black here, right? Because if I multiply this white point by this area here, it's black. So it's gonna be black. But when my ball moved here and overlaid this position, let me lock it. I just can go and manually move it here. So you see, as long my ball overlays this position, I multiply ball by this part, I start to see this part appears. So now I know that my ball touch, or how we call it, collide, yeah, with this object. Even if like this, okay, it's already touched it, you see here. If I put analyze on it, and in analyze I ask to show me maximum color from all of this, so it will show, okay, this is gonna be maximum color. So first we use multiply to detect if it's they overlay or not each other. If they overlay, it means they collide. After I use fit to lower down, because for example this is take around 1 to 200 milliseconds, this is pretty much the same, but okay, usually this is much smaller area, so it should be much more faster to calculate this if you go. So it's just like, okay, maybe here it's not so big difference, but if you have a lot of things happened, it's good. So this is techniques, it's very often used in Touch Designer to detect when you touch something, overlay something, or when some objects of user interface or whatever collide with each other. That's why it's turn right and black. Player rectangle. For player rectangle, what we use mouse in, and we add some noise. to this player rectangle. So we get the position of mouse, right, on Y coordinate from 0 to bottom, and we add some noise to make it a little bit harder to play. But we can delete noise. Yeah, what Nicole tell, okay, if you delete the noise, it's much easier to play. It's right. That's why I add noise, to make it harder to play. How to change color of text? If you mean this, you can go to the font and you can change font color. So we have our text top. You can go to the color, you can change font color, you can change background color, borders, or like different things you can do here. Okay, problem solved. It's hard to see here. Yeah, usually syntaxes. Okay. Composite, as I already showed, it's have different. Yeah, if I use composite, I have selection of different overlay modes. I can choose each of them. Multiply, it's have just multiply, but if I use composite and multiply, it's pretty much the same. So composite we use when we need any of these overlay modes. Multiply and over they put out separately because they very often used, much more often than like average or darker color, for example. And they will be a little bit faster because they optimize just for one operation. Okay, here you see it's sometimes jumping to 100 millisecond, but it's keep around 60 something. This is 50 something. Okay, it's not big difference, but again, if you work on the big project, each small part make difference at the end. From restart in game engine code, ob game engine time left 60, but in the setting time left range max. Okay, time left 60. So what value here? That value will be set up for restart. And here I basically need to no. So max, where is game? Range max is 120. What does this mean? It means that I can get maximum here 120. Yeah, I can go more just with using this slider or by typing here. But in user interface, it gives me just 120 maximum, right? If I want it to be no more than 120, I also can define clamp, and even if I will type 200 here, it will set up its maximum clamp max. So in code, it set up 60 seconds. So when I will run the restart, it will set up to 60 because it's what by default we think, but maximum it can be 120. So 120 it's more for UI, but this is not really we use as UI. This is more like our parameter of components that it's easy to check and easy to access also, right? We can go in more complex way with storage, but I think it's more visible and better for you now. When I test the switch of standby play game result, when I test the switch of standby play game result, my TD broken and my work rate disappears either. I did not get which one you talk, this part or maybe another one. Sometimes, yeah, even me sometimes can create some errors that can crash the system. That's why you always don't forget to save it. Save, save, save. I think this is most common case I press when I work in Touch Designer. And I would say in any software. Unreal, Cinema 4D, Touch Designer, processing. That's what I always gonna press. That's all. Questions about last part? So see you next class.